Hello and welcome to a new watercolour video. Today I'm going to be painting this one, a muted landscape scene with a lovely little windmill. And you can paint along with me. I'll be doing it step by step. If you want the full extended version, that's on my Patreon Creative Spirits tier, along with more art videos on there. I'm going to use the Gansai Tambi watercolours today. You can also get the outline if you're a follower or a member on my Patreon. You can download this free. If you don't want to draw the outline yourself, you can just trace this one. And I'll list all the colours and everything in the description below.
Soft, turn the key and cooler on. This a pause for relief.
Don't want it quite concentrated because we're going to wet the sky first, so we don't want it to be too watery. So this one is the grey bluish and a little bit of yellow brown, and that created this nice kind of earthy green. And then this one is the grey bluish with a touch of Venetian red to make it just a little bit more grey. Right, so first of all I'm going to wet the whole of the sky area. It's got some paint in. I'm just using a small mop brush. I'm going to leave this tray free of water, this one here. Yeah, I'm adding water all of the whole of the sky except for the windmill and this tray here. I'm going to grab some of the blue-grey colour, drop that in across the top area, maybe make it a bit curved so it's like a cloudy sky. A little bit darker across the top. I'm going to tilt my paper a little bit and put more darker colour right across the top like this. And we're getting a nice, it's kind of bleeding down a little bit, which looks quite nice. And then in that darker area at the top, I'm going to grab just a little bit of colour, a little bit of brown, and then a little bit of blue right out of the pan. Just add that right at the top, just to give a little bit of variety in the sky. Then I'm going to get a little bit of the green that I made up, and I'm going to drop that in across the bottom. Maybe a little bit to the sides of the windmill, because that's going to be a lighter colour, so we can, if we add a little bit of colour around that, it will make it stand out. And then this will just look like some distant fields in the background, just very, very faint. Got a little bit of kitchen paper. I'm going to dab a little bit of that out, especially around the trees, because we want the trees to stand out. And they won't stand out if the background is too dark. And I'm just going to dry that off now. I'm going to move on to the fields now. I'm going to make up some black. I'm going to use the mop brush because it's got a nice pointy end. And I'm going to paint a couple of these fields black.
You don't even have to ask to be the cat the sun. Someday I will see the whole deal through. Today I've got better things to do. Okay.
And for the other two fields, I'm going to do these in like creamy browny colours. So I'll start with the Ecru Beige. I'm not going to put it on the palette, I'm just going to paint it right onto the page. Try not to activate that black, I'll just paint the light colour across the top. Carefully go around this tree. Just drag it down a little bit. And we're going to get some of the Flax Beige. Get a little bit watery. Just blend that up. We want to make like a nice blend. And then I'm going to get the yellow brown, some of that, make it a bit darker towards the bottom. Just being a little bit careful not to activate that black. And then for this field here, this is going to be a lot lighter. I think I'll wet the whole area first. I want it super light across the top. That's bleeding a little bit there, but it's fine. Get a little bit of kitchen roll and dab that up. Yeah, I'm just going to make this one really light, so water across the top. This is the Ecru Beige, or Ecru, don't know how to pronounce it. I'll fix that later, that's a run into that, but I will actually just sort that out at the end. Once it's dried, I'll just paint over the top of that little bit. And I'll just put a little bit more darkness towards the bottom, get a little bit of this beige grey. I've cleaned the paint off my brush and I'm just going to blend that a little bit. Okay, so that's the fields, which are now making the sky look a lot more blue actually, now that we've got the brown in there. Okay, so now I'll go for the trees. So a little bit of yellowish brown, a little bit of Venetian red. We'll have one in greyish blue. And I'll have one in this Flax Beige as well. So just carefully paint those in.
Be the cat in the sun. Be the cat in the sun. Set aside every empty spreadsheet line and loosen up on the grind. Simmer down, settle back and
I'll try and sort this little bit out here.
be the cat in the sun. Someday
drop a little bit of colour in, and then I'm going to get some water. Blend that out. Clean water again. Take it just to the edge, just to stop that tide mark. And then we'll take the water right up to the edge, and that'll stop that tide mark forming around the edge. Okay, so I'm going to have to interrupt the painting because I've just received something really exciting. And it looks like somebody's tried to peek in the package. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's been fully opened. So we've got a little packet of love hearts. So I'll be munching on those. Something I've been waiting for quite a while. And it's the new 20 polychromos colours. Really exciting. I'll open these, test them out, and I'll include that in my Cozy Creative Snippets video. Okay, so I'm just going to go out and have a nice walk. I'm trying to have a walk every day, and then I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to make up a fairly dark mixture, quite strong, of the yellow brown. And I'm going to paint the little roof of the windmill in this. So this is kind of a lot thicker, like the consistency of gouache. Then I'm going to wet the whole of this area, the building. But I'm not going to take the water right to the edge. Just going to leave a little dry bit at the side, just a little bit. And then I'm going to get some of that yellow brown again, and that's actually quite a lot, just wanted a little bit, and just kind of paint that in the edges, just tiny little bit on the brush, just to give a little bit of colour to the edges there. A little bit across the bottom. Just kind of let that blend in a little bit, so that it's kind of white, but it's got just a little bit of colour to just to bring the edge out. Just to kind of help it make it stand out a little bit against the background. I'll just switch to a smaller brush and I'll just do the same here. So unbelievably, this is the same colour as the roof. Look how dark the roof's gone because I used the paint so concentrated. And just a little bit here. And then I'm going to use that same brown, really concentrated, and I'm going to paint in the little windows on the doorway.
I've got better things to do.
much lighter colour, just a little bit, very watered down. I'm pretty sure it's the Flax Beige, and I'm just going to paint a really watery layer, super watery, on these. I actually don't know what they're called. I don't know what these are called. I just can't think of the name. I probably do know what they're called, but I just can't think right now. That is the base with the watercolour. I think I'll do the tree trunks in that dark brown colour as well, and it'll tie in nicely with the darkness of this.
Stretch out, lean back, be the cat.
Okay, so that's where we are so far. So the next thing I'm going to do is move on to black pen. So I'm going to start with this one, and I'm just going to make this up of just loads of tiny little black dashes. And I'm going to have them all going out in like outer directions like this. So up at the top, and then it kind of up and out at the sides like this. And then I'm just going to fill the whole thing in with these. And I'm going to outline the trunks as well, because they're not quite dark enough, and I might just draw in some lines like this to give a little bit of texture. And then these ones, I'm just going to draw in some tree branches with the black. Pieces, wherever they are, just gonna do a circle around here, and I'm just gonna do kind of like a grid line like this. Gonna go around the outsides of the windows with the black as well, darken those up. I might do a little bit of, I want to make this darker, so I'm gonna kind of just add some texture with the black to try and darken those up, because it didn't really go as dark as the roof. I wanted them that dark brown. I'm going to make this tree match that one, so I'm going to do the same with the little dashes. Alright, so that's where we are so far with the black. So this is like a brown fine liner in the colour sepia or sepia. And I think I'll just add some like kind of little grass marks across the top, just a little bit of grass texture. And then I think I'll add some little dashes all over this with this sepia colour. Then back to the black pen, I'm going to start adding some flowers. So I'm going to do some of those. I don't know what they're called, but I'll show you. I saw that some out on my walk and they just look lovely from kind of like the side, the silhouette of them. Let's do a few of those. I'm going to do the little Kuretake flowers with some gouache, and I'm just going to use this. I'm going to mix it with this Dr. Martens Bleedproof white, amber. Just get a little bit of yellow. Don't want anything too bright because it's supposed to be muted. And I'll just get a little bit of this smoked bamboo, so that's a brown. Just going to mix up a few colours mix a few lighter colours with this white. Don't know what that's going to turn out like. I've never mixed this white with gouache before, so I'm not sure. Those are a little bit bright. I'll maybe try and mix some of those together. So if I mix some of that one with a little bit of this one. And kind of mute them down like that. And I think this one might have been the best one for all the little different types of flowers. Try to do some of these like little sunflowers. They'll have to be super, super tiny. I'll start with the really lighter yellow. I'm just going to try and carefully paint something like tiny sunflowers. I'll just paint some little tiny ones that look like little flowers on the sides. And I'll dab in some of the more orangey colour. And then I'm going to add some white ones as well. I'm just going to create a few little stalks, just thin little stalks. I'm just going to blob some of that dark brown in the middle with those ones. Okay, that'll do for that one. I'm sure it'll look quite nice from a distance. Yeah, it does. It looks lovely from a distance. So I've just kind of made a nice creamy colour, and I'm going to do a little line of dashes kind of just across this edge, just underneath the darker fringe, just to give a little bit of an impression of the edge, kind of like sun catching the edge of that. Could be like a wheat field or something. I'm going to get this Venetian red and paint some little flowers on here with that. Do those kind of flowers. I like that shape. I can do that shape. It's just a U shape. Do a few little orange ones. I've got a super tiny thin brush. I'm going to do some strokes with this. Just do a few strokes in different colours. Okay, so that's what it's looking like so far. I think it looks quite cute. I think I'll put little bits of white across these. Maybe do a couple of sunflowers here as well. I'm going to decorate this with some little flowers, maybe across the edge. I'm going to break that up because I don't like how it looks. It just looks a little bit too uniform, so I'm just going to drop loads of little white flecks over here, maybe in the middle of the flowers. So I'll leave that as like kind of an edge. Just do some like little circles of dots. So this is just like white with a tiny little bit of yellow mixed into it. And I'm just kind of doodling at this point. I just hope it looks okay at the end. It's not really... And I think I'll just kind of fill all the rest in with just loads of little white dots. Okay, I think it looks quite nice from a distance. I think this one's my favourite though. I love these ones here. I'm going to add a little bit more colour to the trees, just to deepen that a little bit. So a little bit of Venetian red for this one. Oops, not that much. They're just looking a little bit washed out. Just add a little bit more on there. I'm going to add this green that I made earlier for the sky. Add a little bit of green on this one maybe. Blue on this one. Add a little bit of the yellow brown on this one. I might add some white dots into the sky because this is all a bit busy and I need to kind of balance it out a little bit further above. I know we're nowhere near winter, but this would probably just look like a little bit of snow. Just in the sky. Just in this dark area as well. Just to kind of give a little bit of interest in that area. And I think I'm going to leave it there. Kind of wishing I'd put some glitter in the sky. That would have been nice. And there we go, there's the finished painting. I'm actually quite pleased with it. I think it's quite cute, and I do absolutely love muted colours. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you painted along. And please remember, you can get the extended version on my Patreon, along with other arty videos on my Creative Spirits tier. I'll be back next Friday with another one of these, possibly another video in between. But I am just going to do watercolour tutorials on a Friday and maybe something different through the week. So thank you very much for watching.